The stars were silent. The black sky stretched forever, dotted with tiny lights like cold eyes watching from a distance. A single human ship drifted through that endless dark. Its engines hummed softly, a lonely sound in the vast emptiness. Inside the ship, the crew sat in silence. They were explorers, but tonight the silence felt heavy, almost dangerous. Every screen showed nothing but darkness, no signals, no voices, no friendly beacons, only the whisper of space, the narrator's voice. Could have spoken for them. Among all the species in the galaxy, only one dares to travel alone. Humans. A young officer broke the silence. "Captain, the scanners show movement. It's faint, but something is out there." The captain leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the empty screen. "Show me." The officer hesitated. "It's strange. The reading doesn't match any known pattern." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. They had all heard the stories, rumors that followed humanity wherever they went. Every alien species spoke about humans in whispers. Some called them reckless, some called them cursed, and some in hushed voices called them dangerous. But no one ever explained why. The ship's lights flickered just for a moment. A chill ran through the crew. "Just a glitch," the engineer muttered, though his hands shook. The captain stayed calm. "Keep scanning. Space is never empty. Something always hides in the dark." Minutes passed. The strange signal grew stronger. It moved like a shadow, just outside the ship's sensors, never close enough to identify. The officer whispered, "It's following us." The words dropped into the room like a stone into deep water. The captain narrowed his eyes. "Then let it follow. We won't turn away." Outside, the stars seemed to shift. Shadows moved where shadows should not exist. A shape began to form in the distance, vast, silent, and alien. The crew gasped. "Is that a ship?" "No," the captain said slowly. "It's many ships. Dozens of faint outlines circled them, hidden in the blackness of space. Silent hunters waiting." The crew's fear grew. They had no allies out here, no backup, no promise of help. Humanity always traveled alone. That was their curse, or perhaps their strength. The officer's voice shook. "Captain, what do they want?" The captain stared at the silent shapes. "If they wanted to destroy us, we would already be dead." He paused, then whispered, "They're watching." The alien fleet did nothing. They did not fire. They did not move closer. They only circled in the darkness, as if testing, waiting. The young officer broke again. "Why us? Why always us?" The captain gave a cold smile. "Because every species knows the same truth. They fear what they do not understand. And no one understands us." The silence pressed harder now, heavy as iron. The ship was surrounded, trapped in a net of shadows, yet the aliens made no move. Finally, one of the crew whispered, "Maybe they're afraid." The captain turned to him. "Afraid of what?" The answer came in a low voice. "Afraid of humans." A flicker ran across the captain's face. He knew the stories. Ancient battles, whispered by alien historians. A handful of humans had once stood against whole armies. They should have died, but they had not. Humanity's greatest weapon was not its machines nor its ships. It was something deeper. The captain rose from his chair, his voice steady. "Keep course. Do not show fear." The officer stared. "You want us to move forward? Through them?" "Yes," the captain said. "If we turn away, we prove their stories true, that we are beasts hiding from the light. If we go forward, we remind them why the stars whisper our name." The engines roared louder. The human ship advanced into the circle of alien shadows. The crew held their breath. The aliens stayed still. No fire, no attack, only silence. The human ship pushed forward, slow and steady. The shadows moved aside. One by one, the alien ships shifted, opening a path. The officer gasped. "They're letting us through." The captain's voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "No, they're not letting us through. They're testing us. The path stretched ahead, narrow and filled with danger. The ship glided forward, leaving the alien circle behind. For a moment the crew felt safe again, but in the captain's heart the weight grew heavier. He knew the truth. The aliens did not fear the ship. They did not fear the weapons. They feared the humans themselves. The stubborn will to never surrender, the madness to keep walking alone into the dark. And as the stars swallowed the ship once more, the silent alien fleet disappeared into the black sky, watching, waiting. The officer finally spoke again, his voice trembling. "Captain, what happens if one day they stop watching and they attack?" The captain looked at the endless dark and whispered, "Then they will learn why humans walk alone." The stars shimmered coldly outside, like 1,000 silent eyes. Somewhere in every alien world, the same words were spoken again and again. The council chamber was silent. Hundreds of alien eyes glowed in the dim blue light. Massive shapes leaned forward, wings and claws shifting, scales glistening. Some hissed, some clicked, some breathed slowly, but none spoke. Finally, a voice broke the silence, deep, cold, full of warning. "They are moving again." Another alien, tall and covered in silver armor, lifted its head. "Humans, always humans." A third voice, sharper, full of fear. "They travel without allies. They move without permission. Why do they not obey the balance of the stars?" No one answered at first. The silence pressed heavy, like a shadow in the room. Then the eldest among them, a creature with dark skin, stretched like stone, leaned forward. His voice was almost a whisper. "You ask the wrong question. Do not ask why they move. Ask why they still live." A chill spread through the chamber. Every alien knew the stories. Humanity should have been destroyed long ago. Many species had tried. Many had failed. Humans always returned, scarred but alive. One young alien slammed its claws on the table. "They are weak. Their ships are smaller. Their armies are fewer. Yet they walk through our space as if they own the stars." The elder's eyes burned. "Weak? No, they are something else." Another alien hissed. "Then what are they?" The elder paused, then spoke slowly. "Survivors." The word cut the air like a blade. Far away in the endless dark of space, the human ship continued its journey. The crew did not know that dozens of alien fleets had gathered in secret. The galaxy watched them like hunters watching prey, but still, no one dared to strike. Inside the ship, the crew discussed their path. "We should turn back," one officer whispered. "We're too far, too deep. If we meet trouble, no one will come." The captain shook his head. "We knew this when we left Earth. We walk alone. That is our way." "But why always us?" another asked. "Why don't the aliens reach out? Why don't they talk to us?" The captain gave a faint smile. "Because they are afraid." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Afraid? The aliens had fleets larger than nations, weapons that could shatter moons. What could they fear from a single human ship? Back in the alien council, the debate grew louder. "They must be stopped," one leader hissed, "before they grow stronger, before their madness spreads." "Stopped?" another mocked. "And how will you stop them? We sent 10 fleets against them once. Do you remember what happened?" The chamber grew silent again. Everyone remembered. A war no one liked to speak about. A war where humans, hopeless and outnumbered, fought until whole planets burned. They lost everything. Yet somehow they did not break. One alien muttered, "They fight like death is nothing." The elder nodded slowly. "Yes, and that is why we fear them." The council fell into whispers. Some wanted peace, some wanted destruction, but none dared to act. Meanwhile, on the human ship, tension grew. The strange shadows they had seen earlier were gone, but the crew felt the weight of eyes on them. "Captain," the officer said softly, "do you believe the stories?" "What stories?" "That humans are dangerous." The captain looked out the window at the endless dark. "Dangerous? Maybe. but not because of our weapons, not because of our strength. We are dangerous because we keep moving forward, even when we should fall. The ship continued into uncharted space, unaware that the alien council had reached a decision. The elder stood, his voice final. We cannot fight them. Not yet. But we will test them. If they survive the test, then the galaxy will remember. Why humans walk alone? A low rumble of agreement echoed through the chamber. The decision was made. In the shadows of space, a plan began to form. A trap, silent and invisible, waiting for the humans to stumble upon it. Back on the ship, the crew felt the shift. The sensors picked up strange signals again, echoes, faint and distant. "Captain, something's ahead," the officer said, voice tight. The captain leaned forward, calm but sharp. "Then prepare. The stars are never empty. Someone is always watching." The crew stiffened. They didn't know what waited for them, but deep inside, each of them felt the same fire. Humanity had walked alone for centuries, and if the galaxy wanted to test them, then they would answer. The ship sailed into the dark. Far behind in the alien council chamber, the Elder's final words still hung heavy. Let them face the test. If they fall, we are safe. If they rise, then every species will remember why humans must never be underestimated. The stars outside flickered coldly, as if listening. The silence of space seemed to whisper the same warning again and again. The night sky of space stretched forever, cold and endless. The human ship moved forward, its engines a steady hum against the silence. The crew sat tense, their eyes locked on the glowing screens. Strange signals flickered again and again, like whispers in the dark. "Captain," the officer said softly, "the same reading is back. Faint, but moving with us." The captain's eyes narrowed. "How far?" "Too far to see, but close enough to know we're not alone." The word spread unease through the crew. They had already passed the safe lanes of known space. Now they were in the dark zones, regions where maps ended and stories began. Out here, no one would come if they vanished. The engineer tried to joke, though his voice shook. "Maybe it's just ghosts," the captain answered flatly. "In space, every ghost has teeth." The ship pressed on, but unseen in the distance. The alien fleet prepared. Their orders were clear. Test the humans, push them, break them if possible. On one alien vessel, a commander hissed to his crew, "Keep them in the dark. Do not strike yet. We will see how they react to fear." The alien ships shifted silently, creating echoes, shadows, and false readings. They wanted the humans to feel trapped. Back on the human ship, the pressure grew heavier. The young officer's voice cracked. "Captain, it feels like we're surrounded." The captain did not flinch. "Good, that means we are not lost. If someone is watching, we still matter." The crew stared at him. His calm voice steadied them, but in their hearts, fear twisted. One crew member finally whispered, "What if they attack? We're only one ship." The captain looked each of them in the eye. "Then we do what humans always do. We fight, and we endure." Silence followed his words. For a moment no one moved. Then the sensors blared a sharp alarm. "Contact directly ahead!" the officer shouted. The screen lit up. A massive shape appeared, black against the stars. It was not one ship, it was many. Dozens of alien vessels slid into view, their dark hulls glimmering with cold light. The crew froze. Their hearts pounded. The officer whispered, "This is impossible. Why haven't they fired?" The captain leaned forward slowly. His face was calm, but his voice carried steel. "Because they are afraid to find out the answer to a question they cannot stop asking." "What question?" the engineer asked. The captain's eyes glimmered. "How far will humans go before they break?" The alien ships tightened their circle. Weapons glowed faintly, but none fired. The humans were trapped in the middle of a silent ring of power. On the alien command vessel, the leader clicked his mandibles. "Look at them. One small ship against many. Their fear will crack them soon. but he was wrong. Inside the human ship, the fear was real, but so was the fire. The crew braced themselves, waiting for the captain's order. "Shields up," he commanded. "Lock weapons. Do not fire unless I say." The officer swallowed. "Captain, we're hopelessly outnumbered. What chance do we have?" The captain's voice dropped to a near whisper. "Survival is not about chance. It is about choice." For a long moment, nothing happened. The alien fleet watched. The human ship stood ready. The silence stretched, sharp and unbearable. Then the alien ships made their move. Lights flared. Energy beams streaked across space, not to destroy but to push. The human ship shook as force slammed against it. Systems flickered. "They're herding us," the engineer shouted, "forcing us into a path." The captain's eyes flashed. "Then we won't go where they want." He gave a sharp order. The ship spun suddenly, diving against the push. The aliens did not expect resistance. For a moment, confusion rippled through their formation. "Captain, what are you doing?" the officer cried, "showing them that we do not dance to their tune." The human ship cut across the path, engines blazing, weaving between the alien lines. Beams struck again, shaking the hull, but the humans held steady. On the alien flagship, the commander hissed in shock. "They defy the path? Even cornered, they resist." His second-in-command answered, fear in her voice. "They do not know how to bow." The alien fleet pressed harder. More beams, more pressure. The human ship trembled. Sparks lit the control room. A panel burst, throwing smoke. "We can't hold much longer," the engineer cried. The captain stood firm, his voice cut through the chaos. "Listen to me. They want us to break. They want us to surrender. But we will not, because we are human, and we walk alone." The words struck the crew like fire. Their fear turned to steel. The officer gritted his teeth. "Then we fight." The ship's weapons flared to life. Beams of light cut into the dark, striking one alien vessel. The shot was not meant to win. It was meant to speak on the alien. "Our flagship," the commander stared in disbelief. "One ship attacks an empire." The elder's warning echoed in his mind. They fight as if death is nothing. The human ship broke through the trap. Engines screamed as it tore past the line of alien vessels. Explosions lit the dark as enemy fire chased them, but they kept moving, faster, fiercer. Finally, silence returned. The aliens did not follow. They had tested the humans, and the result was clear. The alien commander whispered, almost to himself, "They are mad, mad enough to fight the stars themselves." Far ahead, inside the battered human ship, the crew sat exhausted but alive. Sparks flickered, panels smoked, but their eyes burned with pride. The captain looked at them, his voice steady. "Remember this. They will always test us. They will always try to break us, but as long as we keep moving forward, they will never win." The stars stretched endlessly before them, cold, silent, watching, and somewhere in the dark, every alien voice whispered the same truth once more. The human ship drifted through the endless dark, battered but unbroken. Smoke clung to the control room, panels sparked, wires hissed, and the crew's faces were pale from exhaustion. Yet their eyes burned with something stronger than fear. They had escaped the trap. Against all odds, they had slipped through the ring of alien ships, but every crew member knew the truth. This was only the beginning. "Captain," the officer said quietly, "they let us go." The captain turned his sharp gaze toward him. "No, they didn't let us go. They're watching, testing, waiting for us to show weakness." The engineer wiped sweat from his forehead. "But why? Why not just finish us? They had us surrounded." "The fool." Captain's voice was low, steady, dangerous. "Because destruction is easy. Fear is stronger. They want to see if humans will break themselves." The words sank into the crew like cold steel. Outside the ship, the stars were calm, but in the Shadows, alien fleets whispered to each other. On one alien command vessel, a general leaned over a glowing map. They escaped, but not unscathed. The trap worked. They feel hunted. They feel the weight of our power. Another alien shook its head, scales glistening in the dim light. And yet, they did not yield. They struck back. The general's voice dropped. Exactly. That is what we must study. Not their weapons, not their ships, but their spirit. The aliens moved their fleets again, setting the next stage of their test. Back on the human vessel, alarms flared once more. "Captain, new readings," the officer cried. "Ahead of us! Multiple signals! They're waiting for us again!" The crew's hearts tightened. They had no strength for another battle. The ship's shields were weak, the weapons strained. The captain, however, did not flinch. He stood tall, his voice iron. "Prepare for contact. This time we see how far they are willing to go." Minutes stretched like hours. Then, from the darkness, the alien fleet appeared, larger than before. Enormous ships loomed like black mountains against the stars, their weapons glowing faintly. The crew froze in awe and terror. "They're everywhere," the engineer whispered. The officer's voice cracked. "Captain, this isn't a fleet. It's an army." The captain's gaze stayed firm. "Good. Then they will see what it means to face humans." The alien ships moved, but not with fire. Instead, they closed in slowly, pressing the humans into a narrow corridor of light. At the end of the corridor, a single massive vessel waited, towering. Silent, ominous. The crew understood. "It's a trap again," the officer breathed. "They're forcing us into a test." The captain's jaw tightened. "Then we play their game, but on our terms." The ship moved forward, tension crawling through every bolt of metal. The corridor closed tighter, alien weapons gleaming. On. The flagship, the alien commander watched with cold eyes. "Let them come closer, push them toward the moor. If they enter the trap, their spirit will crack. Then the galaxy will see what lies beneath their mask of defiance." "Back on the human ship," the officer whispered. "Captain, if we go forward, we may not come back." The captain's voice was calm, almost gentle. "Forward is the only path. Backward is death. Fear is death. We go on." The words steadied the crew. Hands gripped controls, eyes sharpened. They would not falter. The ship advanced into the corridor, deeper and deeper, until the shadow of the massive alien vessel covered them. The alien trap was complete. The commander on the flagship gave the order. "Now!" Energy beams erupted, not to destroy but to crush. Gravity fields locked the human ship in place. Systems screamed, lights flickered, metal groaned. "We're caught!" the engineer shouted. The officer fought the controls. "They're pulling us in!" The crew looked at the captain, waiting for the order that would decide their fate. The captain's eyes burned with fire. "If they want us in their jaws, then we strike their teeth." He gave a sharp command. The ship's engines roared at maximum power, pushing against the crushing gravity. At the same time, weapons flared, firing wildly into the walls of the corridor. Explosions tore across the alien line. The crew held on as the ship shook violently, metal straining against forces. "Too strong to resist. Shields failing," the officer cried. "Hold!" the captain shouted. "They think we will surrender. Show them we will not." The human ship screamed forward, engines burning to their limit. Sparks flew, panels shattered, but the vessel punched through the collapsing corridor. Alien ships scrambled, thrown off balance by the sudden strike. On the flagship, the commander's voice turned sharp. "Impossible. They break free again." His second hissed in fear. "They should have surrendered. No species can endure such force." The commander stared at the fleeing human ship. No species except them. The humans burst out of the trap, their ship scarred and burning, but alive. The crew gasped in relief, though exhaustion weighed on them like chains. The officer slumped in his chair. "Captain, how many more times can we survive this?" The captain's voice was quiet but unshaken. as many times as it takes. They do not understand us. They think survival is luck, but survival is choice, and we choose to endure. The crew looked at him, their fear slowly melting into fierce pride. In the distance, the alien fleet regrouped, silent but shaken. They had set their strongest trap, and still the humans had escaped. The commander whispered the truth aloud. They are not like others. They do not break. They do not bow. Even at the edge of death, they fight to move forward. He turned to his officers, his eyes grim. This is why the galaxy fears them, not because of their weapons, but because of their will. Far ahead, the human ship sailed once more into the unknown, broken, smoking but defiant, and across the stars, in every hidden council, every shadowed fleet, the same words echoed once again. The human ship floated through the dark, scarred and battered. Smoke curled in the corridors. The crew moved like shadows, tired but alive. Every man and woman on board carried the same thought. How long can this last? The officer broke the silence. Captain, the ship can't take another fight. Shields are thin, weapons are almost gone. The captain stood at the front of the control room, his eyes fixed on the stars. His voice was calm, but inside he felt the same weight. We hold. Together, that's what matters. We're still breathing, still moving. The engineer shook his head. But why? Why keep testing us? Why are they so afraid of us? The room went quiet. No one had an answer. Only stories and whispers passed down through fleets and colonies. In the far distance, the alien council gathered again. Their voices echoed in the vast chamber, harsh and sharp. One leader growled, "They have broken through every trap, every test. They do not yield." Another slammed a clawed hand on the table. "They should not exist. We have more power, more numbers, yet one small ship makes fools of us all." The elder, calm and heavy with memory, spoke at last. "You are blinded by their weakness. You do not see their strength," the younger aliens hissed. "Then tell us, what strength do they hold? Their ships are fragile, their weapons simple. What makes them so feared?" The elder's eyes glowed faintly. "It is not their machines, it is not their weapons, it is what burns inside them." The chamber fell silent. The elder leaned closer, his voice dropping like thunder. "Humans are dangerous because they do not stop. Even when broken, even when dying, they rise again. They turn defeat into fire. Pain becomes their weapon. Loss becomes their fuel." A ripple of unease spread through the council. The elder finished. "They do not fear death, and that is why death fears them." Back on the human ship, alarms rang again. "Captain, something's ahead," the officer shouted. The screen lit up with new signals. Massive alien warships, larger than any they had seen before. The crew felt the air turn cold. The engineer whispered, This is no test. This is a slaughter." The captain's voice was calm steel. "Then let's show them what slaughter looks like when it's humans who refuse to die." The alien fleet closed in, weapons glowing like burning suns. On the flagship, the alien commander gave the order, "End it, no more games." Beams of fire shot forward, slamming into the human vessel. The ship groaned, metal tearing, alarms screaming. The crew held their ground as sparks burst across the control room. "We can't hold," the officer cried. The captain gripped the railing, his eyes blazing. "Yes, we can. Hold the line." The ship twisted through the firestorm, dodging, weaving, returning shots when it could. Each strike it made was desperate but fierce, cutting into alien hulls like a cornered wolf striking with bloodied fangs. The alien commander growled. "Why do they not break? Why do they not fall?" His second hissed, fear clear in her voice, "Because they fight as if death is already behind them." The human ship shook violently. Panels exploded. A crew member screamed as fire swept across a station. Still they fought. "Captain, we can't win," the officer shouted. The captain turned, his face hard but alive with fire. "We don't fight to win. We fight to survive. We fight to remind them who we are." His words cut through the chaos. The crew's fear twisted into something else. Fury, determination, defiance. The ship roared forward, driving straight into the enemy line. The humans fired everything they had left. Torpedoes, cannons, beams, until the stars themselves seemed to burn. Several alien ships broke under the assault, explosions lighting the void. The human vessel was shaking apart, but it did not stop. On the alien flagship, the commander's voice trembled with disbelief. "They are burning alive, and still they fight. Still they laugh at death." The elder's warning echoed again in his mind. They turned pain into strength. The battle reached its peak. The human ship was torn open in places, but the crew kept fighting, shouting, refusing to surrender. Finally, the alien commander gave the order, not in anger, but in something close to fear. "Stop! Let them go!" His officers turned in shock. Let them. But why? The commander stared at the human ship blazing through the dark. Because we see the truth. No matter how many times we crush them, they rise. To fight them is to fight the endless fire. The alien fleet slowly pulled back, leaving the humans scarred but alive. Inside the ship, silence fell. The crew was battered, bleeding, but still breathing. The officer whispered, "Captain, we survived again. But why did they retreat?" The captain's eyes lingered on the stars, because now they understand. They wanted to see what makes us dangerous. Now they've seen it. The engineer leaned forward. "And what is it, Captain? What do they fear most?" The captain's voice was soft, but every word cut like steel. That no matter how broken we are, no matter how much we lose, humans always stand back up. The stars outside shimmered coldly, carrying whispers through the void. Every alien, every fleet, every council repeated the same words, again and again. The stars stretched endlessly, cold and silent, as the human ship sailed into the unknown. The vessel was battered, its hull scarred from countless encounters, its engines strained. Inside, the crew moved quietly, exhausted but alive. Their eyes were fixed on the dark void ahead, knowing that something waited. "Captain," the officer said softly, "the sensors are picking up movement again. Multiple signatures, they're here." The captain did not flinch. His voice was calm, steady, full of steel. "Let them come. We have walked through worse. We will walk through this too." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. They were tired, wounded, and outnumbered. Yet they trusted the captain's resolve. Humans had survived impossible odds before. They would survive again. Outside, in the blackness, the alien fleets moved into formation. Ships of unimaginable size surrounded the humans, a perfect circle closing in. At the center, a massive command vessel loomed like a dark fortress. Its weapons glowed with deadly energy. On the flagship, the alien commander hissed to his officers, "This is the final test. No mercy, no retreat. They will break or die." The officers nodded, eyes flicking nervously toward the human ship. Yet even among the aliens, fear lurked. Each knew the legends. Humans survived what no other species could. Inside the human ship, alarms blared. Panels sparked. Fires smoldered along the floor. The engineer shouted, "Captain, we're not ready! We can't fight this many ships." The captain turned toward him, calm but commanding. "We don't fight because we are ready. We fight because we must. We survive because we will not surrender." The officer gritted his teeth. "But how can one ship face so many?" The captain's eyes burned. "With courage, with heart, with every piece of who we are. That is what no one else has." The alien fleet opened fire. Beams of energy tore across space, striking the human vessel. Metal screamed under the impact. The ship shook violently, alarms blaring louder than ever. "Shields failing! Weapons offline!" the officer cried. The captain shouted, "Hold! Fire only when I say!" The crew braced themselves, gripping rails, jaws tight. The ship lurched again as another wave of attacks hit. Sparks rained down from the ceiling, and smoke filled the corridors. The officer's voice trembled. "Captain, they'll destroy us this time." The captain's eyes narrowed. "Then we show them why. Humans walk alone." With a deep breath, the captain gave the command. "Engage the emergency thrusters. Weapons fire at will. Break their formation." The human ship surged forward, weaving through the storm of energy beams. Cannons fired, striking alien hulls, while torpedoes tore through the darkness. The crew fought with desperation and skill, turning every hit into an advantage. On the flagship, the alien commander hissed in disbelief. "Impossible, one ship, tearing through the fleet." His second trembled. They do not fear us, even now." The commander growled. "They are mad." Inside the human ship, the officer shouted over the alarms. "We're cutting through them, but the ship can't take much more." The captain's voice was unwavering. "Then make each strike count. Hit where they least expect. Outthink, outmaneuver, survive." The ship twisted sharply, narrowly avoiding a beam that would have torn it apart. Explosions lit the void outside, alien vessels disintegrating as humans pressed on. The crew fought as one. Exhaustion melted into determination. Fear became fuel. Every strike, every maneuver reminded them why humans never bow. The alien commander's voice shook. "They are not stopping. They are not afraid. Even at the edge of death, they move forward." His officers whispered, fear in their voices. "They are unstoppable." The captain's gaze swept the stars ahead. "We do not seek victory. We seek survival. We seek to remind them humans are not to be underestimated." The human ship roared through the remnants of the alien formation, engines blazing, weapons flaring. The remaining alien ships faltered, retreating slowly. They had underestimated the human will. Finally, silence fell. The stars were calm again, but the tension lingered like smoke. The ship was damaged, but the crew was alive. The officer leaned against the control panel, voice shaking. "Captain, they left us alive?" The captain's eyes never left the stars. "Yes, they left us alive, and now they know the truth. Humans walk alone, but we are not weak. We endure, we rise. That is our power." The engineer wiped his face, sweat and soot mixing. "And they feared it, feared us." The captain nodded. "They feared what no weapon can destroy. Our will, our refusal to give up. That is why humans are dangerous." In the alien command fleets, fear spread like wildfire. Across planets and hidden councils, leaders whispered again and again, humans are dangerous. The human ship sailed on into the infinite darkness. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, cold and silent. But the crew knew one thing: no force, no fleet, no empire could stop them from moving forward. The captain's voice, soft but firm, carried through the corridors. "We walk alone, and we always will. The stars may test us, the galaxy may fear us, but we are humans, and that is enough." The crew stared out into the void, exhausted, scarred, alive, and unbroken. The dark expanse of space swallowed the ship, but the legend of humanity's courage and will burned brighter than any star. And somewhere in every alien council, every fleet, every world, the whisper echoed endlessly.